Fidelio is Beethoven's only opera, and while that makes it special, Opera Omaha's production is even more appealing when you look at who designed it.
I recently talked to baritone Mark Walters about that and how his musical roots grew in the Midwest.
Opera News described you as a force to be reckoned with. Tell us about your history. How did you get into opera and why?
Well, I got into music at a very early age. My mother got me into church music as soon as I was old enough to walk, probably, and she wanted me to play an instrument. And I'm from the Quad Cities, Bettendorf, Iowa, originally, and their public band starts in 4th grade. But I wasn't quite ready for band yet until the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Baptist preacher's daughter that lived next door joined band in 5th grade. And I thought, I'm going to give band a try. So that was kind of my formal introduction into music. And I went to the University of Northern Iowa as a music education major and kind of discovered opera there. I went to a summer opera program that Luther College used to have in Iowa, Dorian Opera Theater, where it was a full immersion thing. We built the sets, we built the costumes, we sang in the chorus for the student prince, and there were 12 other young singers from around the Midwest there that were apprentices that all said they were going to be opera singers. And I thought, I think if they could do that, this is something that I could do. And that was kind of the beginning.
What is life like today? If you come to Omaha and you're here for a month, then where will you go? What will you perform next?
Well, this is the last of my 3 months on the road. I just came directly from Sarasota, Florida, where I did my first Scarpia in Tosca, and flew yesterday morning with a slight delay in Chicago, and then got here and jumped into rehearsals. So I'm usually on the road about 9 months a year. This year I was in Seattle and Naples, Florida, and not quite sure where else I was.
Lose track, traveling as much as you do.
Yeah.
Fidelio, what attracted you to this opera?
Well, I didn't know too much about it until I did the first production about a year ago that I was in Louisville, Kentucky with Kentucky Opera. And as I was looking at the score, I had studied it in college, and I thought it was kind of dry, you know, what I was looking at on the page. But what I discovered in the production we did in Louisville is that it's really moving and a passionate production. I mean, Beethoven's not known for his many operas. It's the only one that he ever wrote. But he did a pretty good job of it. And there's a lot of themes that resonate with today's audience. You know, I mean, there's a wife who is trying to save her husband at any cost. There's a politician, Don Pizzaro, who's a local governor, trying to cover his make sure he doesn't get into any trouble, and wrongly putting political prisoners or people who speak up politically in prison, and you know that still happens throughout the world and today. So I found as we got into it, I'm like, yes, this really speaks to me, and I'm hoping that it speaks to the audience also.
Do you feel Beethoven, some of the qualities we might associate with his work? Do you get that sense through Fidelio?
I think so. I mean, Beethoven really spoke in big humanitarian terms. So in a lot of his work, you can find, you know, the justification and saving of humanity. That's about what the Ninth Symphony chorus speaks to that quite a bit. There's not so much about revenge in a lot of Beethoven's operas, but works, but there's a little bit about that in here. But there's really a general humanistic quality to most of his pieces that I think really comes through in this piece.
The Opera Omaha production, there is a little bit of a local twist, an internationally known artist, but as we talk about the designer here, that's got to be a neat something, not just for the cast, but for the audience.
I think for the audience, and it's always exciting for the cast when we get to new production. You know, we get to see the sets for the first time, and in this case, it's a very different type of set. You know, with your local famous artist, so it's fabulous. And his third opera here at Opera Omaha. And so when I arrived on the set, they said, okay, well, the general concept is the stage will be divided into 2 big sections, you know, with kind of a color. This is happening in real life, and the audience hears you speaking, other characters hear you speaking side of the stage. And then you get into the dark side, you know, where it's like, okay, a lot of what happens on this side is what's happening in the characters' heads, you know, but we're speaking it out loud so the audience can hear it also. And there's also a giant, can I give away the giant head that comes down to represent a number of things, including the wrongly imprisoned political outspoken person, Florestan. So during my first aria, I'm talking about taking revenge on him for making my life so difficult. And as we do that, there's a giant, I don't know if it's like a 20-foot head that comes down to represent him on the dark side of the set.
We're talking about June Kaneko and that head we see in his work so often. So anyone who's familiar with his work will probably recognize his aesthetic throughout Fidelio. Who do you think this is for? I always want to speak to those who are new to opera. I don't want people to feel intimidated by any of these shows. Do you think they'll enjoy it just as much as those who are more experienced?
Well, I feel the same way also. And I was curious about that when we did it in Louisville. And I spoke to a number of patrons after the performance that it was their first opera. And I was like, no, we thought it was great. We totally understood the concepts and what was going on, and they could relate to it. And so I think that even though it's an opera that doesn't get done so much, you know, in standard repertory, it can speak to every audience.
Why Omaha for this, do you think, for Opera Omaha to bring this specific opera to the city? What do you think we get out of it that we might not get from something else or from someone else, like we find with Beethoven?
Well, it seems to be a good pairing with the other two operas that you've done this season. And it's, you know, like I said, there's really not anything else like Beethoven in the operatic world. He writes in a Singspiel style, which is actually closer to American musical theater in that there's spoken dialogue between each scene, and there's actually even a little comedy element in this work also to contrast with the really dark aspects of the opera. And so I think it brings a huge difference in type of and style of opera that may have been presented here in the past. So, and variety is always good.
Thank you. I've enjoyed chatting with you. I hope you enjoy this time in Omaha.
Oh, I'm looking forward to being here.
And you can see Beethoven's only opera, designed by June Kaneko, will have 2 performances of Fidelio at the Orpheum, April 17th and then on April 19th. Tickets are available now. Call or log on to ticketomaha.com or operaomaha.org to get yours.
Cool seeing a couple semi-local guys being in this show.
And they're all American cast, but internationally known, so
Yeah.
the caliber of talent special with this
they're
one.
incredible. All right, we've got another Paisan in the house, and we're looking forward to catching up with Tammy Pescatelli in about 7 minutes.
And first, how a checklist could make a difference in your overall health.